When it comes to the Great Awakening and everything happening in the world right now, there are many different timelines that exist. Some of these timelines are not so preferable. Some of these are somewhat not that unpreferable, but not that preferable. And some are more optimal than others. If you're watching this video, and in this video in general, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 signs that you are on a more positive, optimal timeline during these times of the Great Awakening and everything that's happening in the world. Welcome back to another video. My name's Aaron. I help people expand their consciousness, and I do that by creating content on spirituality that is both practical and relatable. Now in this video, I'll be sharing with you those 3 signs. Let's get right into it. So recently, my buddy Victor Otto and I, you may have seen him before, he makes YouTube videos. He's also my best friend. You wanna know what we did? We had a session with Bashar. Okay, we've been watching Bashar for a long time. It's one of the things that originally connected us together. He was living in San Diego, I was here in Vegas, and he was like, yo, we started talking on the phone about stuff. And we had like a call once a month, and eventually he's like, yo, there's Bashar, he's gonna be in Vegas soon. How about I come out to Vegas with my family, we meet up, and we also make a YouTube vid. We made a YouTube vid, and we saw Bashar, okay? And that was one of the things that really bonded us. Now, fast forward to about a week ago. Victor and I both got a session with Bashar. It was an hour long, it was on Zoom. And, well, one of the things we talked about was the different timelines that exist about what's happening right now. Now, I don't know if you remember, but we did a group meditation on April 4th, and there were over 1 million people all around the world doing this meditation. One of the reasons being is because it was an opportunity for us to put us on a more optimal timeline, because there were certain things that were unfolding in the world that weren't so preferable. You've got things going on with, you know, the quarantine and everything that was happening, and part of the agenda, you could say the negative agenda of certain people, was for things to be way, way, way worse than they actually were. So one of the reasons we all came together was to help put us on a more optimal timeline. I believe we did that. And in this video, I'll be sharing with you exactly what some of those timelines I think were. Now, first off, one of the things Bashar said was very imperative to everything I want to share with you. He said something, because this is kind of what Bashar says. Bashar says that right now we are in what is called the eye of the needle. And in the eye of the needle, he says, it's very important for us to remain in a neutral state and not be feeding the negative fear, the fear into the world. Because the thing is you look at what's called MSM, okay? If you remember, MSM, mainstream media, is the mainstream media wants to keep people in fear. It's not even them. They're just still puppets doing what they're told. But the idea is to keep people in fear and anger. They're much more easily able to be controlled. Plus, people look to certainty for authority. No, people look to authority for certainty. How does it close? Oh man, there's so many cool birds out today. Okay, so what happens is when we believe and we feed on those negative timelines and the fear, it propels us as a collective consciousness onto a negative timeline. Every single one of us are connected. So we have an energetic field around our body, and then there's over billions of people on the planet. We all have our energy fields connected together, and based on our thoughts, emotions, and actions, that shifts us to different timelines. Now, the question that both Victor and I had was, can we notice that our lives, even though there's a lot of craziness happening in the world, our lives are actually, you know, we're in a calm state about this, and our lives are very good, are actually better than they were even months ago. And the question was, you know, this eye of the needle thing, because the other thing Bashar said is whatever happens the next 3 to 6 months is going to determine what happens collectively over the next 5 years. So right now is the most important time ever to be focused on raising your own vibration, not buying into the fear. And what he explained is that based on our individual vibration, this is what is going to determine which collective consciousness we shift to, which is very empowering. It means whatever the collective does is changing according to our vibration, because we are all in this together, but at the same time, we are all shifting to the collective that matches our vibe. This is super empowering. This means that we don't need to be feeding the old paradigm. So first off, let's share with you the first sign that you are on a more optimal timeline. I believe that some of the agendas of some of the bad people in the world was that maybe this thing that happened in the world was way worse than it actually was. Maybe the fear and maybe some of the stuff that was being projected out, in a way, was also kind of like, what do they call that, a nocebo? Where people literally can create illnesses from belief as well. Not to say it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that maybe the fear we already know that scientifically, by the way. If you're in fear, your immune system shuts down more. But also, there is a possibility that people's belief about it, and then the belief that they have it, increases probability that they do. Now, there could have been maybe there could have been some intention that maybe something like vaccines came out at a way different way than it actually has happened so far. Because there's a sign that we aren't on that timeline. Everyone right now is not being microchipped and all that stuff. I believe we're on a better timeline. And even though that's up in the ethers and people are talking about it, I believe that if we don't feed those negative paradigms, we don't feed it with fear, then I believe that we will be in a more optimal timeline. So the fact that this isn't our current reality, that what's happening in the world, you probably know what I'm saying, I can't actually say the words, YouTube doesn't like that, may have affected way more people. There's a timeline where it did affect way more people. There's a timeline where Bill Gates is standing on the top of his mountain going, and then he's like bringing out his as a savior, bringing out his little shots to everybody. That's probably a timeline that exists. And that's a metaphor, but you get the idea. It's not here though. So that's a first sign that you are not on that timeline. Now, like I said though, the key though is being aware of these different realities and not feeding them. One of the common things with this whole Great Awakening stuff is the more we study it, even though some of the things may be awareness, it actually feeds the negative paradigm. It actually increases probability that we are on that paradigm. My mom came over the other day for Mother's Day, and I told this to her, and I think it was a big game changer because she's been feeling so weighed down from studying all of this stuff when it comes to the Great Awakening, the Dark Cabal, all these stuff that a lot of people are looking into. And even though, yes, it may be awareness, you got to be aware of the effect that it has on your own energy. So one thing that I've done is I've stopped studying it so much. And the reason I stopped studying so much is because I saw that it wasn't helping me with my actual mission, which my actual mission is to be sharing ideas that I think are powerful, that help people out of those kind of states. Because remember, even if you're aware of something, if you're negatively feeding it with fear, you might be aware of vaccines or something, but if you're feeding it with fear, then it's increasing the probability that that's the timeline you're on. So do you want to put your energy there? And you say, no, I don't. And realize you have the power for this. What I'm sharing to you with raising your vibration, that means you have the power. You get to choose how you feel. You can change your vibration by choosing what you focus on, by changing the people that you're around, by eating higher vibrational foods, by meditating. Meditating is one of the best ways to raise your vibration. That will put you on the most optimal timeline. Now the second sign is that if you are watching this video, first off, that's a sign you're on the most optimal timeline. Because let me tell you something. I believe that I am on a more optimal timeline. Maybe that's my own belief system, but I don't know if you remember, we did a meditation on 4/4, April 4th. And what we did is we did a meditation on shifting to the most optimal timeline, and it was truly magical. We had over 12,000 people live on my YouTube channel doing it, and millions of people all around the world doing this meditation, and it was phenomenal to feel. There's a whole bunch of YouTubers that came together to help out as well, just like you and everyone was helping out. It was magical. And I truly, truly believe that shifted us to a more optimal timeline. So the second one is, if you even watching this video right now, then you may be on that most optimal timeline. But remember, the key is to keep your vibe high. How do you keep your vibe high? By also being discerning against what you watch. Now, the third sign that you are on the most optimal timeline is, as you can see right now in the world, things are beginning to open back up. I live in Las Vegas. Restaurants are starting to open back up. It's called phase 1. Then there'll be phase 2, and then eventually phase 3, and then finally we go back to the gym. But But the other sign is so many people are waking up in the world right now because of everything that has happened. And even people with the masks, it's kind of funny. People are realizing, they're like, oh, let's wear masks. What's going on right now? What's going on right now? Wearing a cloth over your face, and what happens is as you breathe in, you then breathe out, and you're breathing out on a cloth, which is keeping all the bacterial and stuff there. And they've actually shown, even the guy that's, I don't know, even one of the guys, Foki or whatever his name is, said that, oh, even the masks aren't a good idea. But the reason I'm sharing this is what this has done is this has had so many people use discernment with the mainstream media. One of the signs on the most optimal timeline is people don't buy into the mainstream media anymore. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like a joke. For many people, I've got friends that aren't even into this kind of information, whose parents I kind of grew up around, and they're telling me their parents think it's just a circus show. They don't believe anything anymore. If you look, and I'm not saying this for clout or anything, but if you go online and you look at some of the YouTube channels of some of these mainstream medias, they will get 5,000 views on their YouTube on a YouTube video that came out 22 hours ago. It's like these are mainstream medias. There's an illusion going on that they get way more attention than they actually do. Not trying to brag here, but when I put out a new video, it gets more than that in the first 20 hours. Okay, and I'm not a mainstream media. But one day we might be mainstream media. Well, who knows? But right now, people are having more discernment, aren't believing everything they're told. And it's obvious if you look around. And that is another sign that you are on the more optimal timeline. But like I said, the most important thing you can do is not feed the old paradigms. Even if you're aware of some of the things going on and you're studying some of the things with the Great Awakening, the most imperative thing is to raise your vibration. And as you raise your vibration, what you'll find is that then that allows you to be on the more optimal timeline. The collective reality will match the reality that you are currently on. So something I have right now as well, if you want to know your vibration, you're saying, dude, what's my vibration, bro? Go to whatsmyvibration.com. And you link at the top of the description box below. What it'll do, it'll show you where your vibration is, plus give you a meditation for getting to the next level of consciousness, this next level of vibration, to make sure that you are on the most optimal timeline. And I'll link that below. Other than that, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I got a lot more videos coming out, and I will also be sharing with you how to raise your vibration, completely new, profound ways. Other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.